carry on. Let's see.
We're gonna, yeah. So,
It tells you what's in there. This is a window to commemorate the event in 1662, I think it was, when Cranmer, who had written his prayer book, had enemies in London. He wasn't sure of his position with the Bishop in London. So he brought it out here to a rural church under the episcopacy of Winchester, where he was sort of reasonably safe to read it. And the very first reading of that prayer book was here. And also, of course, another thing that we have, which is famous, is that when the BBC first televised a service in a church, they came out here and they televised it from this church. And that was just over 50 years ago. When it came to be exactly 50 years, we wrote to them and said, well, what about it doing it again? And they said, well, there's a lot of bureaucracy, and they never did it. They had a bit of trouble when they first did it because that organ used to be pumped by somebody with a hand pump, and then it was electrified in the days of the BBC came. But there was feedback from the organ into one of the BBC's things, and it made a sort of screeching noise. They had to go back to getting the man to pump it. The organs used to be pumped in those days.
So what year was the church actually built?
What year?
This was the church
came?
No, the church built.
The church, we think 1250. We can't
1250.
go any more accurate.
Yeah.
There's a list of the vicars as from the very first one, complete and continuous.
this is the original floor line, isn't it, Hugh? So the first church here was 11 something, wasn't it? There was one previous.
Yes, there was one previously, yes.
And this is the original floor line of that church, which is why this makes this grade listed, doesn't it, this church?
Is that so? Yes. That's probably where they went down there, because at the beginning of the 19th century, there was a flat floor all the way over. And then in about 1890 something, they refurbished the church, and they thought it would look nicer to be this way. And now we've got health and safety, and everybody says watching, and you cover it all up.
So Lauren, what year was it that my grandparents got married here?
So 1918.
1918, during the war.
Yes. And also Harry Patton, Leslie Alfred and Frederick George Patton were all baptised here, and that font there is the original font, and that is where they would have been baptised.
Wow.
This is also where your Patton family would have come here for church service every Sunday, and the children would have attended Sunday school here as well. So this was very much a focal point for the family. You know, church services were very important in those days. Everybody went.
Yeah.
And there is also another memorial with Bert's name on it. So don't fall down the stairs.
No.
So this triptych, basically there is an original cardboard version of this, which hung on the church pillar, and every time a boy died who was associated with Warlingham and this church, they wrote their names down on it. But throughout the war, obviously the names grew and grew, and actually the original cardboard, you can see layers of paper, whereas they ran out of room, they had to keep adding another piece of paper to add more names. And then in 1923, that piece of cardboard had hung on the pillar since the beginning of the war, and they thought, we want to make this a permanent feature. So in 1923, this was made.
Wow.
And it's gold leafed. And all these names, of which, where is he? There we are, Albert Patton.
Yes.
Yeah, so all these names are the same names which are on the main wall memorial that you saw earlier. It was redone in 2002. It had a little upgrade, but it's absolutely beautiful.
And that's the 17th Fusiliers who were here.
Yes. So this flag you see above you,
A very old one.
yeah, so this is the flag that the 17th Royal Fusiliers brought and gave to the people of Warlingham, as well as the gun which was on the green at the same time, because the 17th Royal Fusiliers were stationed at Court Farm between the winter of 1914 up to June 1915, and they had such a fantastic relationship with the Warlingham residents that they stayed in touch with them throughout the war, and they were just so grateful the way that the villagers had looked after the soldiers that they wanted to give something back to them at the end of the war.
And they named a crater near Givenchy in France. They called it the Warlingham crater.
Really?
And it's been filled in now. But it was there until fairly recently.
And the villagers used to collect money, and they used to send little parcels to the Fusiliers.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I don't know, just cigarettes or soap or anything really.
Wow.
So, you know,
Cake.
Yeah, a bit of cake. I think cigarettes is quite high up on the list.
Yeah,
But also, this is one of the first editions of actually the history of full 17th Royal Fusiliers, from the beginning of where the regiment was formed in St James's Square, for then time coming to Warlingham, and then throughout the whole period of the war. Yes, so we are. So in memory of the 565 of all ranks of the 17th Service Battalion of the Royal Fusiliers who died for their country in the Great War of 1914 to 1919, this memorial is placed here at their comrades of the battalion.
Oh.
So, and they're on this plaque, which you can't see very well. It says
I can't begin to read that.
It says the 17th Fusiliers Battalion of the Royal Fusiliers, after training at the Court Farm in the parish, 1914 to 1915, received this colour in 1918, and they returned here on January the 10th, 1920. So that's when exactly when the flag and the gum was given.
Right.
But they not only gave us that, the 17th Royal Fusiliers also gave the hymn board.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, this. So you can see in memoriam of the 17th Fusiliers at the bottom.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Well,
But something happened to that because they've only got the surrounding glass, haven't they?
Yeah, so this was Marion was telling me this is the oldest church window.
Yeah, it's those colours.
Because of the colours. Yeah. Unfortunately, obviously the centre bit's gone because unfortunately vandals
got it.
got it, but they've sort of put it back together as much as they can. They then think that this one that Hugh was talking about is the next oldest. When Hugh mentioned about the lepers, it's actually that little window that the lepers would
allowed to look in and
were allowed to look in, and the priest actually stood there and gave service.
wow.
I think these little archways that you see, that's some of that stone is from the original church that was here. Marion said that there are certain graves. So this is one of the oldest graves, which was actually the daughter and her husband of the Reverend at the time, who was not only Reverend here, but he was also of Sanderstead. There is also, under that chair, the grave of a little child.
That chair in the corner over there.
Yeah, which I believe was also another vicar's child.
Now, can you tell me again about this up
Yes,
here?
Hugh, you know the St. Christopher, the Christopher.
Well, I mean, it's thought to have been painted maybe way back to about 1600, 1500. The guidebook there would probably tell you a bit more, give you the exact date. But just they whitewashed it over because Cromwell wouldn't allow any images. It was a form of pagan worship if you had images. So they covered it up, and sometime in the 19th century, somebody sort of realised it was there. They covered it over with some kind of preparation, chemical, at some time to try and preserve it, which is probably a mistake. Do the opposite. But of course, it's an image of the myth about Sir Christopher
patron saint of the travellers, isn't he?
Sorry?
Patron saint of the travellers.
Patron saint of travellers, yes.
And
Because
he,
if you carry a St Christopher medal with you, it's supposed to help you and keep you safe in the
Yeah.
travels.
And that's Christ child on his shoulder, of course.
yes.
He said something that is halfway across, good heavens, you're heavy.
Yeah, not many churches have still got their paintings, the paintings.
So it was restored and cleaned in 1955.
Ah, wow, that's a wee while back in itself.
Just before we came here.
Yeah, so they're all because. So as you see, the first one says 1250 Gregory.
Oh my goodness.
He was the vicar when we came. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
When the
Oh, you've
Pattons
seen-
got married, it would have been George Robert Macaulay,
Yes. So George Robert Macaulay, he
1900.
Macaulay is the one, he gave all these pews here. At his own expense, £5,000 in those days. And the vicar before him, he was married, and he also gave £5,000 for the extension of the church, which took over.
yeah.
Yes, because a lot of them were second, third or fourth sons, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they paid for their living.
Now this church window is quite important, this one in particular. This is to do with the First World War.
Okay, brilliant.
So it says, "Suffer little children, come unto me, for of such in the kingdom of heaven, to the glory of God, and in the memory of Lillian Rebecca and Richard Friend Roberts, the 13th of June 1917. So basically, Richard Friend Roberts, he and his wife and their 3 children lived in West Hall, and they came to this church all the time. And during the First World War, Richard Friend Roberts had a company in London, but all of his workers had all gone to war. So his daughter, Lynn Rebecca, went to go and help her father.
You know, I did the little thing on the...
So they were up in London, but unfortunately on the 13th of June 1917 was the first daylight bombing raid over London, and they were both killed instantly.
Oh wow.
And Rebecca, Lillian Rebecca in particular, she used to raise lots of funds for children from all over the world, and that's why you have different children of ethnicity, as I say, because she used to help, and she was also the Sunday school teacher here. So she would have been the Sunday school teacher for the Pattons. The church was so upset that they lost these members of their congregation that they decided to have this stained glass window made in their memory. And this stained glass window was actually made by a soldier who lost one eye during the war, but he designed this and it was installed. And you'll see the plaque here, it actually talks about them and what happened to them.
My grandson...
So, Lillian Rebecca Roberts, born in 1879, she was devoted to her Lord from the youth and served him in this parish for 15 years in all works of ministry and love, especially striving to win the children to know him and be his messengers. By her happiness and sincerity, she commended the faith to all and won the love of which this window is a witness. And then her father, 1849 he was born, Richard Friend Roberts, chartered accountant, fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society, loyal son of the church, rendered good service here as a sidesman and lay representative of the parish, and for several years during Lent and Advent, he gave freely of his time and skill in holding lectern services, counting no pains too great. But at noon on Wednesday, June the 13th, 1917, a bomb from an enemy aeroplane wrecked the office in Fenchurch Street where father and daughter, called to his and by the war, were at work, bringing instant death to them and sorrow and loss to this parish.
Wow.
head of that in Warlingham.
Over here is the is a plaque to those that died from here from the Second World War,
Ah, yes.
Sorry.
You're right.
which is this one.
So that's our next task, making sure the names are correct.
Mm.
Yeah, I believe the original entrance to the church was actually in front of this font, and they literally moved this. What is that? Was actually there. And when they did the extension, it's where these pillars are. This was the original size. So, as Marion said, it went 12 feet that way and 12 feet that way.
But that happened in 18...
That was in the 1890s, roughly.
Mm.
You can see, what was it that Marion said that it symbolises a boat, the ceiling?
Oh, well, yes, the word nave
Nave.
is the Latin for a boat. And so you sort of think it is constructed rather like
So
a
it
boat.
looks
It's
like
lovely,
a
isn't it,
boat.
to think your relatives were here,
Oh,
and
it is.
children.
Mm.
And you can actually see
Wonderful.
from the actual colour of the beams where the old, you can see the old ones are darker,
Ah, yes.
and then you can see this one is lighter because that is part of the new extension.
Right.
Those
New.
buildings were extremely rough.
Only like a couple hundred years ago.
Well,
And I remember when I came, I was church warden for a very short time, and they decided to have a complete cleaning of everything up there. And it, well, I remember that they had planks laid across those, and a man with a brush came bringing down all the dust.
Oh,
It
well.
was a very noble thing to do.
Mm.
Unfortunately,
What's
he
that
did
at the
die of
top
cancer.
there?
Oh.
Did he? Sorry. Well, the bit that says
The gold.
the is it HI? What is that?
Oh, it's the...
It's in Greek it'd be IHS, Jesus Hoios Soter, Jesus, the Son of God, Saviour. But it might also be the Latin, Jesus hominum salvator, Jesus the Saviour of men.
that's the common
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a common.
it's a Christian symbol.
Yes, indeed.
Mm. Oh, thank you so much for your little tour of everything. It was
Right.
really
It's so
informative.
full of information.